So thanks so much for having me. Let me start by shouting out the Teams Nation team first. I think this is one of the biggest community events around Microsoft Teams. The excitement in this community is remarkable. So thanks again so much for having me. I really appreciate it. So for the people that do not know me, my name is Michel Baumann. I'm the partner technical lead for Microsoft Teams Rooms in Microsoft EMEA. My team looks after the readiness of the partner ecosystem. So my team focuses on AV partners, they focus on CSP partners, they focus on OEMs, all the great vendors that we have, and then the multinationals as well. Can I get a quick thumbs up to just to let me know that the video is working all right and everybody's seeing me properly? Yes, I see Matti with the thumbs up. Shea, thank you so much for Klaus. I appreciate you as well. Let's jump in. What I would like to do today on the next, let's say 30, 45 minutes that we have together is I'd love to dive in a little bit deeper on some of the features in Microsoft Teams Rooms. I would love to demo some stuff, right? So I'll leave that for the end. I'll start with some slides and then let's do a lot of Q&A. So I would love to do a lot of interaction. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I have the full setup here, so if you want me to show you anything, more than happy to take time to do a lot of Q&A and a lot of live demoing. Before that, let's jump in by setting the scene a little bit. So going forward, I think we all agree that the workplace will be hybrid. I think this fluid experience will be realized across the continuum of spaces where extreme flexibility will allow people to choose where and when they work based on their needs. And I think the role of the office in itself will be changing a lot as well. As a matter of fact, Jared Spataro, our corporate VP for Microsoft Teams Rooms, recently said that it might feel counterintuitive. It might feel counterintuitive, but you have to start designing your physical space for the people who aren't there. So meetings will not be tied to one location. Some people will be dialing in remote, some will be in the office, others will be on the go. I think you just spoke about first-line workers. We'll see a lot of mobile workforce as well. So now more than ever, people need collaboration experience that put everyone on a equal footing, and I'll touch on that a little bit later, whether they join meetings from a conference room, from the home office, or on the go. We did a large research. It's called the Microsoft Work Trend Index. We just posted an update last week. It's on the Microsoft blogs. Happy to share links after the session. And our findings show that the great reshuffle is far from over. So for employees everywhere, the worth it equation, so that means what people are willing to give up in exchange for their career, has changed and has become central for their decision making about where to work and whether to stay. And so some of the key findings is that managers feel stuck between the expectation of the employees and the expectations of leadership. And leaders must radically be intentional about the role of the office, or they risk losing the very real benefits of hybrid work. So new work patterns will hint at a more flexible future, but I think entrenched norms could lead to burnout. And I also think that the race on measuring impact is on versus measuring just activity. We were so used to working 9 to 5s, and I think that is slowly changing as well. So the simple fact that hybrid has transformed how we work, we all remember where we were 2-3 years ago. We had standardized work hours, we had dedicated focus on work time, dedicated focus on focus time. And we had an environment built for work that controlled the number of distractions that were around us so we could focus better. But I think over the past 2 years, we've undergone a radical shift, it's almost like a global experiment in how office work happens. And it has led to a decrease in work-life balance. It has on average doubled the number of meetings that we have. So many of us had to do a total shift to remote-only work. And in that environment, staying engaged was significantly harder. So we had to figure out how we deal with all the stuff that's happening around us, kids running around, pets, the home environment that wasn't designed for work. I see many people working at their kitchen table or working in their bedroom, which is even worse. But now coming out on the other side of all that, a lot of people are returning to the office, but what they're returning to isn't quite the same as what they had before. So we now have a situation where now people have gotten used to managing their own time and their own work balance or work harmony, as I like to call it, and they want to be able to collaborate and work now on their own time. And balance is a word that we hear all the time when people talk about this new work reality, and balancing work and life, balancing distractions, balancing from an IT perspective, security risks, budgets from an IT manager perspective, but also balancing the business. In the world of confusion, it can be very, very difficult to find the right balance. And that's not surprising. If we look at meetings, they've always served as a way of bringing people together to solve problems. And in a hybrid world, the reality is that hybrid meetings are incredibly complex. If we look at employees, they're asking new questions from a new perspective. So how do I feel like I'm in the room when I'm not? What would I benefit from it if I was in that room? And what would technology look like? And how can it be more effective? So we now have all these trends in the workplace, but how our workplace is actually set up. And I think there's a lot of upside there, a lot to grow in most of the offices that we see nowadays. As a matter of fact, if we look at the slides, 93% of today's meeting rooms are equipped with only minimal technology. Yeah, I'll try to share most of the slides after the session. With only minimal technology to support information sharing. I still see rooms where people have connected a USB camera to a PC that's logged into a Teams environment, and that's definitely not the way to go. Right? Do not connect just USB devices to any device. Do not put your laptop on the end of the table and have the feeling that you're actually helping these people that are dialing in virtually to become part of the meeting, especially from the thought that I just mentioned, where you now have to design the office also for the people who are not there. 63% of workers would use video conferencing more if their huddle rooms were better equipped. And I think another thing we need to figure out is how do we create that new level playing field? If we go 3 years back in time, if you would dial in a meeting virtually and you had like 8-9 people in the room and you were the only one that dialed in virtually, you often had to rely on stuff like this. Right, so there might have been a speaker puck in the room, maybe even an open laptop. But there was really, it felt like you were a fly on the wall. You were never part of that meeting. You were never part of the experience. It was difficult to find out what was happening in the room. It was difficult to even ask your questions without rudely interrupting people. Then we all shifted to working from home. And that created that equal footing where everybody was the same on the same level. Now, going back to the office, we have to find out a way, and Microsoft Teams Rooms can help here, as I'll show in a minute. We have to find a way to, again, create that equal footing between the participants that are in the meeting. So Microsoft Teams Rooms, it helps remove those barriers between spaces, places, people, and they're thoughtfully designed to deliver inclusive meeting experience with all the participants in mind, whether you're joining from a remote location, on the go, or in the office itself. So Teams Rooms turns any meeting room, for a fact, into a easy to manage and inclusive space where everyone can collaborate without compromise. And they're really designed to foster that inclusive, collaborative meetings, bridging the gap between workspaces so everyone has a place at that same virtual table, no matter where they join from. We deliver a consistent and intuitive Teams experience. So if you understand the app, you understand Teams Rooms. And again, I'll show it in a demo in a quick second if you've never seen it before. Now you can turn any space into a Teams room with a wide selection of certified devices. And make sure that when you get one of these cameras that you go for a certified device. I'll make sure I'll share some links at the end where you can find a list of these certified devices to flexibly scale to fit every need in every space, whether that's a small huddle room or a large conference room that you wanna kit out. It's all flexible, and you can scale it any way you want to. And of course, for the IT people on this call, you can keep devices secured, reliable, and up to date through rich management capabilities. And if you want me to show a little bit of the Teams Admin Center, more than happy to show you that once I've gone through the slides. So inclusive meetings, they start with ensuring everyone can be seen and be heard clearly. So Microsoft works hand in hand with leading audio and video equipment manufacturers to deliver the innovative audio and video experiences that focus on making sure everybody can be seen and heard as if they were on the virtual table. So we have various content layouts to help make sure that people in the room can connect with remote participants by showing both people and content simultaneously, even on a single screen. So here you see three different setups. The one on top is the single screen where it shows the people on the bottom. It shows the content on top. The second row is double screen with no content shared, so you'll see more people also. And then the third one is a dual setup in which we combine content on the left side and then together mode on the dual screen. So to give people in the room a greater sense of connection to remote participants and support that collaboration before, during, and after the meeting, we've introduced a new content layout, because that's all it is, a new content layout which we call Front Row. So visually, this new layout moves the video gallery. Go ahead and type them in the chat if anyone has questions indeed. Visually, this new layout moves the video gallery to the bottom of the screen, so in-room participants can see remote colleagues face-to-face across a horizontal plane, kind of similar if you were in the room, and then the meeting content is surrounded by contextual, like we call them, fluid components, like an agenda, tasks, notes, which can all be updated in real time to really help people to stay engaged and productive. So additionally, the meeting chat is brought clearly into the view so people in the room can easily see and engage with the conversation in real time. Let's jump into a meeting room. Good to see you. Here I am. Hopefully you can see me. So I just jumped into one of the meeting rooms. This is the enhanced meeting room, as we call it. I'll talk a little bit about some guidance around setup. There's a live stream coming up, by the way, on LinkedIn on Monday that me and Jimmy Vaughn are going to be running on how to set up one of these rooms like this. I have been working out. Thank you so much. Thank you for noticing that on the chat. See, you totally distracted me from my story. But this is the Teams room. Now let's join into this session. Can I ask, Matti, maybe you can help me here. Can you allow people to turn on their camera, maybe 4 or 5? So we can show this while I run this demo. So let's jump into console. If you've never seen this is the Teams Rooms console here on the left-hand side. And as you see, we have a Teams Nation video is up here. Thanks. I think that's enough. Thank you. There's a Teams Nation meeting. All of this is live. So let's pray that the demo gods are with us. I'm going to join the Teams meeting, Teams Nation session. So here we are in the meeting.
Let me mute all this.
There we go. Get the console out of the way. So here we are live, all in Front Row. It's good to see you. Maybe you can wave so the people that haven't shared their video actually believe that it's actually there. Yes, here we are, and we are fully live here in this enhanced meeting room on the Teams Nation session here in room 7. As you can see on the screen itself, I love the thumbs up, by the way. That's great. I need one of those. If you have extra, please send me. On the bottom, you'll see the videos. Right, so you have the videos. It's a single screen. The wider the screen is, the more images you'll see. We're expanding this as well. Currently, Front Row is in preview. On the right-hand side, you see the chat here, and on the left-hand side, you now see the raised hands. Maybe a few people can start raising their hands so we can see this live. See the reactions also. That's great. Thank you. So you see on the left-hand side, you see the raised hands. You see them popping up. This section of the screen is going to change soon. So we're going to be implementing the fluid components that you might have already seen in the Teams application. We're going to be implementing that here in the Teams room. So and then you'll be able to choose what you want to see on that left-hand side. As an example, the agenda or meeting notes or task lists or whatever. And you can also always, if somebody raises their hand, the screen will automatically go back to the raise hand feature, so you will not miss that information. I think something on chat. Implementation of Teams Room Service Hub can be a challenge. Microsoft working these. Okay, I'll get to that in the end. I'll get to it in the end. So this is front row. Again, in the middle, you'll see the context. It is in preview, so we are currently fixing a few things based on the feedback that you have given. And we also find a few things that I think can really help you. Let me jump back in out of this meeting room and into the PowerPoint slides. And feel free to turn off your camera now if you want to. You can always keep them on. I love seeing your faces. I see a few people are taking on the opportunity. This is my live camera, by the way, in the back. Don't mind the mess. Turn this off for now, because it will get distracting. I saw a couple of people looking at the mess already, all these devices. So we have found a couple of things with front row already, and here are a few tips if you've started playing around with this to increase the experience that you currently have. Make sure when you start setting up front row, you can set it on as a default layout. I'll show you how to do it in a second. If you set it up, make sure you set your screen, whether it's dual or single screen, to 1080p. Don't bring it to 4K yet. We're fixing that now. Set it to 1080p and then set the scaling to 100%. That'll give you the optimal experience for now. Like I said, it's still in preview, and until this goes into GA, that's the way to get the best experience. So the layout, it shows 4 video participants now on front row for a single display, and it shows up to 9 videos on a dual front of the room display. And these participants are chosen based on the last active speakers. So the ones that you saw in the video that I just showed were the last people that were speaking, or the first ones that joined with their camera. And also, when we look at the design guidance, one thing you probably already noticed is that the camera is now on eye level. Right, so if you want to create this experience of being able to look each other in the eye, and the eye gaze is super important when it comes to picking up non-verbal cues from people, make sure you start mounting that camera on eye level. So bring it down, no more above the screen, because people that are dialing in virtually will feel like they're droning over your meeting, which is definitely not the best experience. So move your cameras down to eye level. Another one, I just spoke about this, is the addition of fluid components. So like I said, soon you'll be able to replace the raise hand with fluid components like agenda, tasks, and meeting notes. But once a person raises their hands, you will still see the raise hands first, because that's an important thing. I think if people ask me what kind of hints or tips can you give on making meetings even more inclusive, is use raise hand always, even when you're in the room. And that might sound weird, right? Because you're sitting there in the room, and we're not back in the school days where everybody had to raise their hand to say something. But if you really want to make this inclusive, use raise hand, and also use chat to make sure that nobody misses anything. I see Martin nodding, so thank you, Martin. I think you acknowledge that, so thank you. Some other guidance: always use PowerPoint Live if you can. I know it wasn't working in the Teams Nation app, so me saying this without actually doing it now feels kind of weird, but use PowerPoint Live. So as you probably know, as a Teams fanatic, there are 3 ways to share your PowerPoint Live. You can share your PowerPoint a full screen, just a single window, or use PowerPoint Live, where you stream the presentation from OneDrive, from the cloud straight into Microsoft Teams. And that's really the way to go. Whiteboarding, 2 different options. Use the unified whiteboarding app. I get quite a few questions around how do I start a whiteboard on an MTR. You can't. The way you need to, and I'll tell you in a sec why you can't, but the way you need to do this as a best practice is let one of the participants in the app start the whiteboard, and then you'll be able to use it in a Teams Rooms environment as well. If you have a touch screen, I think that's the best experience that's out there. The reason why you currently cannot start a whiteboard in MTR in Microsoft Teams Rooms is because a Microsoft Teams Rooms, for the IT people here, always sits in a resource account, and Whiteboard needs to know where to save it to which user. So, and since a resource account isn't the user, it doesn't know where to save it. We're looking into it. We're trying to fix it. If you still want to use the old school whiteboards, and I know a lot of offices still have them, you're probably aware of the content camera. Again, if you've never seen it before, More than happy to demo it to you in a bit. Please leave it in the chat so I can actually show you this demo. So what happens here is there is a camera that's pointed at the traditional whiteboard, like the one I have here behind me. You can't see it, but it's really there. Like the one I have behind me, and you can stand in front of it and you can write, and then artificial intelligence will pick up the letters and won't even show the person that's writing in front of the whiteboard. And that's the way you can present old school whiteboard into a Teams meeting and then save it digitally as well. Last year, we introduced a new wave of Teams Rooms innovation with a new category, which we call the intelligent cameras. And there are 3 unique technologies that power this new intelligent camera category. One, it's AI-powered active speaker tracking. So it's enabling in-room cameras to use audio and facial movement and gestures to detect who in the room is speaking and then zooming in for a closer perspective. What they can also do is they can do multiple video streams that allow in-room participants to be placed in their own pane. So you see that here on the Giphy that's in here. The people that you see in these single videos are actually in one room on one camera. So what the image does is it splits up the different. Interesting question, Bernard. I don't know. The new Up2S camera is super new to me, so I have no idea if that works already. So what it does in the meeting room is it splits up the different pieces of video stream and then show those as single participants in the meeting. Now, how this helps is often you're dialing in virtually. You have 4 people in the room. You only know 2 of them, or maybe even 1, or maybe none. So you have no idea who's speaking. Now, with these intelligent cameras and currently some of the devices from Jabra, I know the Panacast P50, the Poly E70, and I keep forgetting the name of the Yeelink one, and the new just certified Neatbar have this technology already built in, and we're expecting more. So we'll also have people recognition, which will identify and display the profile name of enrolled users within the video pane, like you see here in the video. For me, the next 2 slides are super important, and that's because the remote participant, it becomes easier for them now because they have chat, etc. But we also have to still consider the people that are in the room. So beyond video, one of the best ways for remote participants to establish their presence in a meeting is to engage, right? So we're bringing popular features from the personal Teams meeting experience to Teams Rooms. So we now have the raise hand function, which you just saw, which you can trigger automatically from the console of the MTR, but also on your mobile device. Same with live reactions, right? They're now visible in the Teams Rooms as well. And when using the classic video layout, you also see chat bubbles as in-room alerts for those that are not using the front row experience. This might be one of my favorites, and that's the updated companion mode for iOS users. So if you have an iOS device, you go into a meeting room where an MTR is present and the MTR is actually presenting. What you can do is you can open your app and you'll be able to open the companion mode. Now the companion mode gives you full control of the MTR. Right, so again, if you are in a room, you're with 4, 5, or 6 people. In this example, do I have one? Here we are, right? I'm quite far away from the console, so I can't really touch it. It gets even worse when I go, do I have another one? When I go here, right? It's difficult for me to get to the console, right? So here's where the companion device really helps you. Just open it on your phone, and you can control all of the meeting room functions, including presenting, so you don't need no laptops in the room anymore. You can all do that from your phone. So with that, I'm in 24 minutes, which means that it's time to do some Q&A and maybe some demo stuff. So if you have any questions or if you want to see something, let me know, and I'm more than happy to show. Would be great. This would be great to split the camera in the room. Does anyone have information on it? Yeah, Rens, I'll share. I'll make sure I share a link to the intelligent cameras. More information on that is coming really soon. It would be easier and more secure if I could use the conditional access in Intune and use dynamic queries and device. It would be easier and more secure if I could use the conditional access in Intune to use dynamic queries, not with the name in Intune to not exclude. Okay, got you. I'm not sure if I get it, but I have a link to if you go to YouTube and you search for Michael Tressler, Mike has a great video on how to set up conditional access and Intune with MTR. So I can really advise you to check that out. So go to YouTube, search for Michael Tressler's account, and find the one on conditional access. That's a great thing. Only iOS yet, Android coming soon. Fingers crossed. I think so. On the companion mode. Let me show you. Let's jump into Teams Admin Center. Let me see if this works. By a raise of hands, before I do this, how many people are IT manager or IT managers or are really into the admin portal? Just a quick reaction. Just want to make sure. I don't want to bore the people that are not interested in this with this one. Oh, it's quite a few. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, let me show this. So this is the Teams Admin Center. Probably all familiar with this. You'll find all of your Teams devices here under the Teams devices menu. We've added Service Hubs, by the way. I saw a Service Hub question in here. We've added Service Hub. We also added the panels if you want to have room panels. The cool thing about this, I just got my new room panel here, and that's the room panel that you can put in front of the room. It connects with your MTR and your Service Hub, which is pretty cool. But here you can already see, so I'm in Teams Admin Center, I'm looking at the panels, and I see that there's a non-urgent thing going on here. So let's click on it. And I see that there's, like I said, I just set this up. I see that there's a firmware update. So let me update the firmware. You can set firmware updates. You can defer them if you want to do it as soon as possible. By the way, for the IT people, if you do as soon as possible, you will never get the latest version. You will always get N-1. Right? So if you always want the latest version on your devices, do not go with as soon as possible, but go with the manual updates. So I'm going to manually update this one. I want the firmware. I'm going to click update, and then soon my panel will start updating as well. Let's jump into the MTR section. So I clicked on Teams Rooms for Windows. This is my home office. Please don't email my home office. And here in meetings, you'll now see a new front row, the new front row experience that you can set by default. If you hit gallery view, you get the gallery view. If you set front row, you will get that front row view by default without having to go into the XML file. And you can set up all kinds of things here. If you still want to join Zoom or WebEx meetings, you can enable those for MTR as well. So if people ever invite you to one of these third-party vendors, you can always join those meetings, so you don't have to buy any other device. There are a bunch of settings here, which you might already be familiar with. Here also for the coordinated meetings, if you have more than one MTR or you have an MTR and a Service Hub, as soon as you join a meeting on the MTR, Service Hub will open up as well. You can do that with multiple MTRs technically if you want to, and you can kind of say whether or not you want to which microphone you want to use in the admin center, right? But the most important thing, front row experience. Hit the front row view, hit apply, and then it'll update. When will it update? Every night. So every night at 2 a.m. Let me jump here. Every night at 2 or 2:30 a.m. Teams will automatically MTR will automatically reboot. Does it update overnight? No, it does not. It updates anytime during the day. So if you look at the way MTR updates itself, it looks at the regular Windows updates and the store update. Right? So if an app gets updated somewhere in the middle of the day, and then it automatically reboots at night, then you'll get that update deployed. So if you hit this and you don't see anything within the next 15 seconds, that's because it still has to update itself after the reboot. Any other questions? Let me jump back into chat. I see 2 raised hands. Is that a question or is that still from the IT question? Jens, Paul, if you have a question, feel free to unmute. Jens, maybe you first.
I know, it's just forgot to.
Oh, okay, you're just one of the IT
Sorry
guys.
for that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem. How about you, Paul? You have a question? So Peter is asking, is it possible to use the layout you had to showcase the front row? Do you mean the, Peter, do you mean if you can already use front row, or do you mean if you can have the scene that I'm using to demo it? And Peter, feel free to unmute yourself like somebody else just did, I think. Okay, you might have to clarify. Oh, I'm sorry, Peter. I think I muted you again. My bad.
Yeah, I'm after the scene you used.
Okay. Okay. So you after the scene. Oh, okay. Yeah, more than happy to share that. Connect with me on LinkedIn, please, and I'll send you the file. Yep, no problem. Damien, go for it.
Yeah, it's just a question around MTR. So we've just deployed an MTR into one of our meeting rooms, and an observation that one of the sort of engineers on site has said that people are going in and using the BYOD cables. So the old, just walking in, plugging in the machines. Have you got any tips and advice to breaking that habit? I mean, we can't hide the cables away because that's there for a purpose, for sharing, but they're looking at the MTR on the desk and just plugging their laptops in. So it's just a
I had a funny. I see where you're going. I had a funny story. I was with a customer the other day, and they were telling me about how they had a meeting on MTR in 4 different locations, and in one location, so they have these dongles set up. So it's the HDMI and then different dongles, USB-C, what's that? The lightning cable, etc. And one of the people thought that it was a charging cable. So they got their iPad, plugged the iPad in, all the screens started flickering, and all of a sudden the person's iPad was showing on screen, which is kind of like a painful experience. But I get what you're saying. What helps is custom layouts on the background of the MTR, right? That helps on the screen, custom layouts. So you can set, you can set different layouts, but you can also set a custom one. There's a template that's available online, and then give some instructions on the screen as well. But then old school stickers on the desk, little cardboards on the desk that kind of explain how to use the device that's sitting there. I've seen customers that put cardboards with QR codes that people can scan. And now will they? I don't know. I don't think everybody will. But I think it's good to find, similar to the adoption of the regular Teams app, is to just find a few people that are champions in your organization, and then help them explain how this thing works. Users will always be users, Damien.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. Any other questions? Let me see. Yeah. List of public road, but not something I can see. Good thing about roadmap. So we've gotten some feedback on the roadmap of MTR, and we're going to be doing a better job with making sure that stuff is actually on the roadmap. And we're also not going to be putting it on the roadmap months and months ahead for you to wait for it. But we're going to make sure that that once we kind of know when something is coming, that's the time when we put it on the roadmap. Anything else from a demo perspective you would love to see? Have you seen the multiple camera layout in MTR already? It says I still have 10 minutes left. I can show it to you real quick if you have not. So here we are in the MTR. Let me stop joining this meeting. Call quality was amazing, of course. So here we are in the on the console. Again, all of this is live. I'm going to open the settings tab. I remember when I said that I just showed you that I just pushed the new firmware to the panel. It's actually updated now. So this is the console. if you go to peripherals and you go to cameras, you can set multiple cameras now. Right, so I have my NDI, which I'm not using. Then I have the Rally Bar Mini here, but I also have a Brio setup. You can run a preview, so you can see what it looks like. So you'll see Will Smith here, right? But so you can switch cameras during the meeting, but you could also set a default camera. I often get the question, how many cameras can I add? And that all depends on the amount of USB ports that your device has. Any other questions? Have you seen Intelligent Camera? Or do you want to see Intelligent Camera? That's easier. If you want to see Intelligent Camera, maybe do the raise hand to give a thumbs up. Yep. Okay.
Mark, can I ask another question quick?
Yeah, go for it. While I do
If
this.
you got so we're looking at the moment with my infrastructure team to set some Azure desktops so we can get, because it's just a pain having to pull people into meetings just to try front row or try gallery mode on MTRs. So have you had any experience or got any advice on setting up Azure desktops so we can just pull them into the meeting to save me having to disturb people?
Not really.
No.
Okay.
Let's connect offline to see if I can link you to somebody internally that can help you with this.
I've seen a post from someone, but we're just following through the post at the moment.
Okay.
But it's a bit clunky, and you've actually got to log into the Azure desktop to join the meeting. So
yeah, there is. Oh, I forgot his name. What's his name? Okay, send me a message on LinkedIn, Damien, and
sure.
and I'll be more than happy to send you to someone. Okay, let me show intelligent camera or content camera. I'm sorry. So again, this is all live. So I'm standing in front of what you're seeing now on screen is a whiteboard. I'm just going to start writing. And again, all of this is live. Let me turn to my other camera as well. See, so I'm currently I'm standing in front of the whiteboard here, and I'm just scribbling and writing. And like I said, you cannot see me actually going through the screen. Now this is a regular old school whiteboard, and I have the Logitech Scribe up here to do this. But you could also do this with a Brio, and then connect the Brio and place it above your whiteboard. And as you can see by my handwriting, I prefer doing things digitally because my handwriting sucks. All right. So if we have no more questions, let me start sharing this again, and then go back to the PPT. Here we are. If you have no more questions, if you would love to connect on LinkedIn, you can scan the code here. Happy to take some stuff offline as well. I share a bunch of things on LinkedIn about new features coming to Teams and new stuff coming to MTR. Oh, Julian, where's the camera filming the board? It's here. So it's above. So like I said, if you want to connect on LinkedIn, I'll be happy to connect there. And I think this is also an important one. This will ensure that I can come back next year to Teams Nation as well. I would love for you to scan the QR code here and then give me some feedback. Would love to hear what you thought of the session. So with that, thank you so much for having me again this year, and looking forward to seeing you next year. Can we do one, Matti? Can we do one in person? Can we just find a venue and then do some cool stuff so we can finally see each other again, because I've been missing real people.
Let's see for the next year. That's something in the discussions already.
Good
that
stuff.
If we do an in-person event, of course, it's also difficult to arrange, but let's see. let's see where the world goes. Hopefully,
let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Hey,
Let's do
thank you. This was a great session and great demos, and I got also something out of this. So, and I think we answered probably all the questions. There was a lot of good questions. Good demos.
I think so too. Yep. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll see you next year, and let's connect on LinkedIn. I love those. I love those, Pamela. Those are amazing. I'm going to steal that from you. I'm going to steal it. It's great. Thank you. Have a good one, everyone. Enjoy Teams Nation. Bye.